as Kyle knows best, Texas is one of those states that they have some of the most severe weather as far as wind load goes. So they have this organization called Texas Department of Insurance that have their own requirements as far as safety glazing in hurricane prone regions. On this particular project, it landed in one location, an area that the TDI were close enough that was considered a catastrophe area. However, the latest edition, and Kyle, here's where we can collaborate on this. The latest edition appeared to point the user or the reader of the TDI to ASCE for the designation of where safety glazing is required. And safety glazing meaning a 1 5/16 inch overall makeup of glass. Basically having, instead of a total glass thickness of 1/2 inch, we would be up to 3/4 of an inch, because you have a laminated inboard and a monolithic outboard. So Kyle, if you want, you can take it from there.
Yeah, can everybody see my screen?
Yep, we can.
So in Texas, along the coastline, the Texas Department of Insurance, which is a specialty insurance that Texas has for tornadoes and hurricane-prone areas, which is basically the entire state. It's basically a wind insurance provided by the state. But anyways, along the coastline, they have designated this a catastrophe area. So any project that falls in these counties, we really need to pay close attention to, because it probably needs to have that 1 5/16 laminated safety glazing for the building. Now, this is where it gets complicated, because in the presentation they gave in 2018 when they updated the code, they basically said, okay, you just need to go to, it was the AT Council, but then it became ASCE 7, hazard tool, and basically follow what 716 is saying for impact requirements. So if ASCE 7 is saying you don't need to have impact glass, TDI is following that with their new updated codes in 2018. However, this is where it gets complicated, because TDI is not a perfect system. They have inspectors, and the inspectors don't necessarily work for TDI. It could be a private individual who has a PE. It could be a company like us, and they are the authority over TDI for that particular project that they've been assigned. Because of that, they may overrule this documentation that TDI has, saying that you can use ASCE 7 for determining if impact glazing is needed or not, and they may force the issue that regardless, they want to have impact rated glazing on the project. It's very important to get on these projects early, and we've worked with a lot of clients down in Texas and have informed them of this, and they do get involved pretty early, even during the bidding process, to determine what glazing makeup is going to be required. And sometimes they get multiple answers that are conflicting. And then they come to me, and the architect says, according to ASCE 7, we can do this. I'm like, I agree. And then the GC said, I talked to the TDI people, and the TDI people said it's this. I said, you need to talk to the TDI people and confirm with them and fight with them if that's what you want. Otherwise, what TDI says is going to have to go. Even if it's a cost impact on the project, they're the authority on what glazing makeup we can use. So it gets complicated in Texas along the coastline for sure, because they like to follow testing reports as well. In fact, they for years adopted the Florida product approval system to qualify systems being used in this catastrophe zone. They now have their own testing authority that they use. we've had projects in the past that have unfortunately went away because the TDI inspector only wanted to use the testing report. What happens when you have a testing report that maxes out at 12 feet and your curtain wall's 80 feet on a tall building? What do you do with that? And TDI, on the projects I've worked, had no answer for it. They just said my responsibility is to use the testing report to approve this curtain wall. But the curtain wall doesn't match the testing report, and for us, the projects went away, and I have no idea what ever happened to them because they weren't going to accept our calculations. But TDI is a very crazy program. I understand why it's in place, but I think there's some room for improvement, and that's all I'll say.
So yeah, anytime anyone in the office has a project in Texas, and especially if the project is in any of the counties that border the Gulf of Mexico, we need to pay close attention to what the requirements are for the glazing part of it. So run things by Kyle and Stuart. They both have a lot of experience in this area, and do make an effort at the beginning of a project whenever you have a project in Texas to run to make sure that there aren't any TDI requirements.
It was a challenging project, so I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
For an engineering quote, just send construction documents to info@jeistructural.com or check us out online at jeistructural.com. Look forward to working with you.